The Requiem serves as Resident Evil 9's hand cannon and its namesake. It is based on the real-life RSH-12, which in itself is a somewhat obscure, large-caliber Russian revolver. The name roughly translates to Assault Revolver Caliber 12. This weapon certainly holds some level of significance outside of its stopping power, suggested by its name and winged engraving that matches Leon's watch. As the description states, this weapon is issued by the DSO, presumably to its top operatives. So this would explain why Leon showed up to the function with an elephant hunter rather than just a handgun and a box of ammo. It'll be somewhat short-lived though, since he hands it off to Grace in an effort to assist her getting out of the care center. So that said, both Leon and Grace use this weapon throughout the game, and on your insanity run, it will perhaps be your weapon of choice too. This video will showcase the Requiem and its glory, battling the game's different zombies and some of the bosses. All gameplay is on Insanity.
Oh fuck. Let's make this quick.
Starting off the game, it is worth noting that since you can't carry over progression from your last save, you will begin the game with a blank slate, meaning you will need to upgrade your weapons each time. The Requiem has some of the very expensive upgrades, so it may take a bit until you're in full working order. But in any case, this weapon is very good with and without all the upgrades. The 3 upgrades available are the ported barrel, which reduces muzzle rise and increases power, the barrel jacket, which improves balance and increases rate of fire, stability, and reloading speed, and finally, the weighted grip, which mitigates muzzle rise and increases stability. You will need to unlock advanced tuning in the bonus settings in order to purchase the max upgrades. One other thing you could do is put a couple points in upgrades right at the start. For example, I went for 2 points in the ported barrel and 1 for the weighted grip, totaling 33,000 credits. This does carry over for Grace, however, charms do not. Be careful to save yourself some money, especially on Insanity. You don't want to fight Chunk with only a pistol when you're back in Leon's shoes. After Leon whips some zombie ass while Grace is facing unimaginable horrors, Leon saves Grace in the nick of time and hands her the Requiem. From this point on, Grace is in control of the firearm until she gives it back to Leon later.
Take this.
Are you sure?
You might need it. Now go.
While Grace is in control of this weapon, there are no further upgrades, so whatever condition Leon gave it to her will be what she uses. This weapon has very limited ammo to start, 1 bullet to be exact, and resources for it will be limited. The saving grace, however, is that you can eventually craft your own ammo for it with metal scraps and infected blood. I recommend you unlock infinite ammo in the bonus menu before you jump into Insanity though, because zombies are ruthless. This gun packs a mean punch, and with infinite ammo, you will show the zombies that they are the ones stuck in the care center with you and not the other way around.
Oh, what the fuck?
You're fired.
What the fuck? Well, at least it's easier to walk around now. Oh, what the fuck?
Speaking of which, it is also a good tool to deter the girl when she is stalking you in the basement. Once completing Grace's initial segments, you will arrive in Raccoon City as Leon, and the weapon will be back in your hands. This will be a good time to talk about the animations and reloading. It is no secret that I'm really impressed with the gun animations for Resident Evil 9. You can tell they stepped it up for Resident Evil 4, and they were really good in that game too. One reloading mechanic is that if you shoot all 5 rounds, you will use a speed loader, which will be a bit quicker than individual rounds if you had only shot 4. You can interrupt reloading at any time to get back on target. This weapon also has 3 skins: Default, Film Noir, and Apocalypse. I personally like the sleek look of the default, as the engravings give you no tactical advantages whatsoever. But the Apocalypse is cool too. If you have a full cylinder and press the reload button, you will perform a cylinder check. This just scratches the surface of the attention to detail Capcom put into the game, as you'll see throughout the video the different animations used in combat as well. Not to mention the executions Leon can perform with the Requiem and other weapons.
Rest easy, officer.
Transitioning back to Leon, when you take back over, you will likely have some money to spare for some upgrades. Like I said earlier, these are expensive. In fact, from beginning to end, it will cost you a total of 276,000 credits. I would strongly recommend unlocking the modded tactical tracker so you can obtain more points per kill. It gives you 1,300 credits for each basic zombie and scales depending on the enemy. At this point, I furthered my upgrades by maxing out the ported barrel, bought the barrel jacket upgrade, and took the weighted grip to level 2, now totaling my costs of upgrades to 96,000 credits. You will now find yourself welcome to that Raccoon City hospitality by finding some new foes spread throughout. Not a bad thing at all, you'll get some more credits for upgrades. However, lurking above, you'll face your first boss encounter, the Titan Spider.
Oh fuck. You're a real pest, you know that?
This guy will give any arachnophobe a run for their money, but with the Requiem, you can face that fear head on. There really are no easy bosses on Insanity, but this isn't too terribly difficult if you navigate the area and try to land some shots at its weak point in the back.
Haven't you had enough? I don't have time for pest control.
After a little while of this, you have come out on top.
Oh, I miss our Raccoon City hospitality.
Once back on the surface, you'll be tasked with detonating the explosives on the gate, guarding the path to the city center. You will, of course, find yourself in many fights to achieve this. Before heading into battle, I added some more upgrades. Who knew that pest extermination could be so lucrative? I put one extra point into the barrel jacket, further increasing my fire rate, reloading speed, and stability. I am now 141,000 credits into upgrades. In the warehouse behind the BSAA camp, this would normally be the first encounter with the leftover Raccoon City zombies. You can easily see why this weapon is Leon's revolver of choice. It's too bad he didn't have this gun 28 years ago. Moving into the sewers, you'll find yourself in a close quarter situation with another Blister Borne. Unfortunate for him though, because this time you have a handcannon to deal with him. Next, you will eventually get to the rooftop for another detonator piece. This could be tricky because now you are fighting BSAA zombies, some of which have guns to shoot back at you. Not in a Resident Evil 5 way, but just kind of mindlessly spraying in your direction. Some of them have helmets and armor, so it may take an extra bullet or two to rout them. Oh, and did I mention the artillery coming down on your head? Yeah, watch out. After some zombie killing, I now found myself with enough points to cash out and max the Requiem. Putting in the remaining upgrades, maxing out the weighted grip and barrel jacket, now costing me the total of 276,000 credits. The Requiem with all of its upgrades has even more devastating power, a shockingly quick reload speed, a decent rate of fire, and a good stability. The stats bars are on screen for reference. Note that I have been using the Power Shades charm, which increases bullet penetration and damage on the last round. I have also been saving most of my credits for the Requiem. Your upgrade times may vary, but still should be obtainable before continuing to the city center. We are still not done for our quest to blow up the gate. We are moving to a fight at the gas station where there will be plenty of zombies and a special new guest. You can duel with this guy with a chainsaw, and I honestly recommend it because of how cool it is. But for the sake of the video, I just blast his ass away. He is still much tougher than any other normal zombie. There is still a bit more to go before you're done in this area, but now that you have the Requiem fully maxed out, or at least very close to it, there isn't much to note. I will say, however, I hope you don't have a fear of heights, because you may overpenetrate a zombie and blow the glass out beneath your feet. After arriving back at the RPD, you will be reacquainted with an old pal, the Tyrant T-501. Once you get to the battle arena, he may be the most formidable foe thus far, as defeating a tyrant is usually a job for a rocket launcher. But good thing you have a pocket rocket launcher, because you will seriously ruin his day.
I'll stop you as many times as I have to.
Good job. You just costed the connections $120 million. Continuing beneath the orphanage, the next boss you will encounter is Plant 43. With your green thumb, pull the hammer back on your revolver and water the bastard.
Just so you know, I've killed every plant I've ever had. Stubborn meat, aren't you?
Inside of Ark, there are of course some zombies, but also more challenging enemies, namely the elite guards and the return of the Lickers. The guards can pose a serious threat with their firepower, otherwise 1 or 2 shots is really all it takes as long as you don't get shot back. The Lickers have a potential to overwhelm you, but the Requiem has the power to overwhelm them first. Just keep in mind the low ammo capacity and you will be golden. Now finally we are at the last boss in the game, Victor. His first phase could be a bit difficult, but with some well-placed shots and parries, you could be the victor here. Just try your best to avoid the lightning strikes as they slow you down and leave you open. Hell, you could even parry his rockets and do some massive damage. Eat your heart out, Wesker. You can catch, but we can deflect.
Seems you're reaching your limit. I will not let those ideals win. Give it up! It's over.
The Nemesis fight is much easier in my opinion. Parry the overhead attacks and keep shooting at the weak points. I don't think I took any damage on this, and keep in mind, this is on Insanity. Last time I fought a Nemesis on the hardest difficulty, it was a terrible experience.
Nemesis. No wonder you're so damn relentless. This time, you ain't getting back up.
We've reached the end of the Requiem showcase. I was excited to get into Resident Evil 9 for many reasons, but after seeing the revolver Leon was using in the trailers, I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. And after playing through the game on Insanity, almost exclusively using this weapon, I am not disappointed. I mean, what is a Resident Evil game without weird elevators, missing cranks, and big revolvers? There is a remaining question I raised in a previous video though, and that is, does a Requiem have symbolic meaning to Leon or the plot in whole? Requiem for the dead, nightmare for the living. Leon carrying his own personal tokens of remembrance hits harder once revisiting Raccoon City in the RPD. He believes he couldn't save anyone 28 years ago, and now he's here to make a difference. And in the end, he and Grace released the antiviral that will end Umbrella's curse. A long way from a rookie cop, a final hope for humanity, and the best way to avenge his fallen comrades.
I'm so sorry. Never again.